Well, hi everyone. Welcome to the recording for week 5. This is for the Computer Fundamentals class. So you can see that I'm in the class, and I'm going to go down here and click on week 5. I'll scroll down a little bit. You can see that week 5 is all about the Spreadsheets unit. So for week 5, you'll be going into Excel. So we finished off the Documents unit, but a couple things before we get into week 5. I've developed some assignment examples. I'm not sure if you've looked at those or not, but right here's the examples of the Documents projects, and here's examples of the Spreadsheets projects. So if you click on that, you get a PDF file that opens. So you'll see the Spreadsheet Project 1, a sample of what it might look like, Spreadsheet Project 2 with all the formatting, then finally Spreadsheet Project 3. Now, of course, your information should be completely different from mine, but I just wanted to give you some samples to make life a little bit easier for you. Okay, so let's go back down week 5 in the Spreadsheets unit, and the first thing we do, of course, is always want to look at the Class Connect write-up. So we're going to look at Spreadsheets, and again, you know how to submit the Class Connect write-up, so shouldn't be any problems there. So let's go ahead right into the unit. When we talk about spreadsheets, of course, we're talking about manipulating numbers. That's the main thing of a spreadsheet. And really the main use of a spreadsheet is right here, manage large amounts of numerical data. So the main use of a spreadsheet is to manage large amounts of numerical data. Of course, they have text information too, but that's the main use, to manage large amounts of numerical data. Go back to the write-up. 3 components of a spreadsheet, rows and columns identified. So as you go to section 2, it starts talking about what a spreadsheet is. And spreadsheets, the original word came from when people in accounting, where their books were called spreadsheets to keep checkbook balances and things like that. But spreadsheets now is just the general term for electronic data sources like we're going to be using here. So you can see the objective, the fundamental concepts and uses of a spreadsheet, appropriate uses of a spreadsheet, create a basic spreadsheet, recognize and use features of Excel. There's a warm-up activity. You can go click on that, go through this to look at historical uses of a spreadsheet. And what might be ways that you might use a spreadsheet. Let's go back to the Class Connect write-up. Okay, so I haven't gotten it. Okay, so that's section 3. Okay, section 3. So the anatomy of a spreadsheet. So if we look at this, spreadsheets, they're set up in columns and rows. And you can see the columns are all numbered. So column A, column B, column C, column D. And the rows are numbered. Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. So spreadsheets are made up of rows and columns and cells. And once you figure out how to move about in a spreadsheet, then you're not going to have any trouble with it. So in this unit, we're going to explore, or this section, explore Excel, identify parts of the spreadsheet, practice opening a spreadsheet. So again, so in Microsoft Office, to open it, you do File, New, and then you get a new spreadsheet. And then the anatomy of a spreadsheet. So if you look at this, we can scroll over these items and see what they are. So again, you have the row indicator, row 1, row 2, row 3, the column indicator, column A, column B, column C, etc. And finally, a cell is where rows and columns come together. Let's go back to the Class Connect write-up and see what are the 3 components of a spreadsheet. 3 components of a spreadsheet are rows, columns, and cells. How are rows and columns identified differently? Well, we just looked at that, right? Rows are numbered, columns are lettered, column A, B, C, etc. In a spreadsheet, what would the cell identification be for fourth column and fourth row where they meet? Well, I think you can figure that out, so I'll leave that to you rather than me figuring it out. So a little bit more about rows and columns. And data, as this talks about, data can be anything. Now, spreadsheets are mostly for word or for text, for numbers, I mean. We can also put words or text in it. So, as you look at a spreadsheet, like A1 right here, you can see that that cell is selected, A1, so you can see how a spreadsheet would look, and you can see right here that you're in A1. Okay, a little self-test on cells, so see if you can get through that okay. Okay, section 4, creating a spreadsheet. So let's go back to the write-up. Visual cues to help you know what cell you're in. Why would you resize a column? So in this section, we're going to generate, format, and modify a spreadsheet and create a budget using Microsoft Excel. So you're going to actually do this as you move along. So you'll do this and follow the directions, save it when you're supposed to, and all that. Now this tells you how to move around in a spreadsheet, so go ahead and look at that, see how to open up a spreadsheet, how to get going with that. Now the thing about it, to know how you're in a cell, right here it says whenever you get into cell you get a dark line around it. So that's how you know if you're in a cell. Also, just up above the column, it will say what cell you're in, like B7, A5, whatever it is. But to know you're in a cell, it will have a darker outline around it. So like this example right here, you can see that you're in B3 because there's a dark lines around B3, and it says B3 right here. Now this work you'll do because this is part of the assignment. So you're going to do exactly what this says. You can see that in A1 you're going to type the words weekly budget. Then in A3 you're going to type my expense item. In B3 you're going to type the word amount. So you do exactly what this is telling you to. This will be the first assignment. You see, this is going to be in a budget showing how much money you and other people spend each week on certain expenses. So you can go ahead, you can create your own. You can make these your own column if you want to. Now entering data, here's a little tutorial on entering data, so go through that just to see how you can enter data more easily. Now resizing columns. Now resizing columns, like when you were just working on that spreadsheet a couple slides ago, my expense item was too wide. So you could change the width of a column if the entry is too wide, if it gets cut off. And the way you do it is move the mouse to the right edge of the column header, like up near the top where the letters are, and click between the letters and just hold and drag to the right, and you can make the column bigger. But the reason you make it bigger is because the text or the numbers will not fit because they get cut off. Formatting values, make sure you go through this. It'll tell you how to make all the numbers look like dollars. So follow the directions to work on your document to make everything look like dollars. Resizing cells. So watch this on resizing cells, just to make sure that you know how to do all that in case you have to do that. And finally, saving and printing, you want to watch that also. So in this project, you're going to build an example, like in exercise 3, the one that we looked at. You're going to start off with that example. And then you're going to put your members of your family in that spreadsheet. So if you look at this, so you're going to rename the column amount and name it with one family member. And then you need to add information for each family member. Then you're going to add some extra budget items. Now if I click on how it's going to be graded right here, if we look at this document, you'll see that You're going to add at least 4 family members, 10 budget items. At least one budget item has values for multiple family members, and all the family members' columns are all the same. Now you can also leave some cells blank, so you don't have to have dollar amounts in every cell. So some of them, make sure you leave blank. So you're going to create that budget sheet with 4 family members and 10 budget items, just like the sample that it showed you a minute ago. So that's going to be this assignment, and you can just name it Unit 4 Project 1 if you want to. So that one is real easy to get going on. Let's go back to the Class Connect write-up, make sure we did all the work. Spreadsheet cell identification, I told you that. Visual cues to know what cell you're in. Why did you resize a column? We talked about that. Okay. So now moving along, Section 5. Is Section 5. Now this is about formatting. And formatting is making it look the way you want, using colors, sizes, alignments, etc. So lots of things you can do to format a spreadsheet. So in this unit, you're going to generate, format, and modify a spreadsheet, identify poor formatting. So first of all, formatting the dates. So this tells you about formatting the dates. So anytime you're in a cell, all you do is go up and do Format, Cell, and then you can choose the type of date you want or whatever you want to do. Now here's some information about formatting. So make sure you stay consistent and that you use formatting in moderation. You don't want to overwhelm the people who are looking at your spreadsheet. So make sure you do things well so it looks nice. Text. You can change the text, like the fonts, the sizes, all those types of things. You'll just go to a text, then hit the Format button, and you can do whatever you want to. The Format tab at the top of the screen, then you can do whatever you want to with the spreadsheet. Now, working within cells. Now, so far we've just worked within cells, but there's also something called a range of cells. And a range of cells, that's a sequence of cells, meaning a bunch of cells that touch each other. Like from A1 to A7, that's a range of cells. And you can do lots of things to a range of cells, and to select a range of cells, you just click on one of the cells, and then you drag your mouse to the final cell in your selection. So that's how you would select a range of cells. And then you could do the same command on all of those cells if you want to. So make sure you watch this presentation, this little video right here, that'll show you how to resize cells, because you're going to need to do that. Background content, putting in fill and colors and things like that. Please watch this little video to show you how to do that, because you need to format your document. The format menu. So whenever you're in a cell or on a range of cells, just choose format at the top, and you can format the cell, you can format the whole column, the whole row, whatever it might be. And this little tutorial about numbers tab, so you can do some different things, experiment with numbers, percentages, and things like that. So make sure you watch that in case you need to do those on your spreadsheet. Grids and borders. This is really important because you have to do it on your spreadsheet. Now there's two types of things. A border are lines that go all the way around something, but then a grid are lines that are in a bunch of cells. So this one down below here, this picture we can see is there's a border all the way from like B3 all the way down to D10. So this whole area has a border, but then inside it I can see that there are grid lines. And you do it, it's real easy to do within the spreadsheet commands. You just highlight all the cells you want to have happen. Like if I wanted all of this to have a border around it, I would highlight it all. Then I could choose Format, Borders, or I could choose borders the way they're doing it right here. And you can put thicker ones on the border on the outside, thinner ones on the cells inside. Now in the example that they had in here, you can see, and here's how to add borders, little video on it. But you want to make sure that you're going to choose your whole thing, and then you're going to do all borders, and you're going to put a thick box around your whole thing. Then once you put a thick box around your whole thing, you're going to put grid lines inside that thick box on all the cells. So please watch this little video and it'll show you how to do that. The Format Painter, this you can do some more fancy things with formats. Now the second part of this project, you have your first one done, right? Then your second part of this project, you'll open it up, and then you're going to add 2 rows after your last expense item. You're going to put last updated in column A, and then the date in column B for that row. And you're going to put it in a larger font so it's distinguishable from the rest of the spreadsheet. So if I hit click here, I can see what that example, how I would have graded on that. And remember, I have the sample assignment so you can see what yours is supposed to look like. It doesn't look like that wants to open very well. I'm going to go ahead and get out of that. But you can click there to see what you're going to get graded on. But this one, you're just putting left updated in there, and there might be a couple of other things that you need to do that you get graded on. Let's go back to the Class Connect write-up and make sure I answered that question. Range of cells, how can you select a range? We did talk about that. Good. Finally, Section 6. Section 6 talks about formulas. Formulas are really important because that allows you to do automatic math. So this one, we're going to format spreadsheets, manage data in a spreadsheet, and explore formulas using Excel. So to enter a formula, like if you just wanted to add a couple of cells together, you put the equal sign. So you go to the cell where you want the answer to be, put equal, and then whatever the 2 cells are that you want to add together. So watch this video, that'll show you how to do that. Now assigning values to multiple cells. So you can see right here, this would add up all of these cells. This would add up from, well actually this isn't a good example because why would you want to add dates together? This is a very poor example they've given here. But writing this formula out, this is a challenge. You have to make sure you have the cells right and all that. So it's better to use actual formulas with range of commands, and you'll see that in a minute. Now here are some functions that spreadsheets have. Count function, square root function, max, minimum, sum. We want to look at sum and count, but go ahead, see if you can drag and drop this activity and do pretty well. But sum and count, those are important parts of the work for this next assignment. So if you look at this, if you were doing this chart, and I think the directions tells you to do this chart, but you don't have to, but you can if you want to, but most of you are pretty good with spreadsheets, so you're going to probably be okay. So this just tells how you would go in and put a formula in to figure out temperature, Celsius temperature based on this Fahrenheit temperature. And here's what our formula is. So you can see right here, 31 Fahrenheit would be minus 0.5 Celsius. There's the formula right there. You can see how that formula figures out the math on cell E4. It does all that math. Now formatting cells to give them the proper, if you want them to look like dollars or whatever you want them to look at. So you'd go to the cell you want to have the work to happen, then you do format cells, and then you see all these things you can do with it. Of course, we'll be using dollars in our activity. In our budget, we'll use dollars. Then you can copy. So once you have a formula somewhere, you can copy it. You can click on it, and then right in the corner of it, you can drag it down, and it will copy automatically into the other cell. So you see right here, I didn't have to, or whoever did this, they didn't have to put the formula every time. They just copied it down, and it automatically did the math. So like this one for negative 0.6 Celsius, that has E4, but if we were able to look at D5 right here, then it would say, its formula would say E5. So it automatically stair-steps it down for you. The edit and undo, Control Z will edit and undo any commands you make. So if you do something you don't like, just hit Control Z to get rid of it. The right mouse button, so you can go to a cell and right click, and you can do your copying and pasting right with the right mouse button. Functions. Now functions, this is where you make things happen on a range of cells. Like this one, if you put equal average, then it would do the average of all these consecutive cells, that range. Down here it would do the minimum of all these consecutive cells. That's important for you to know about these functions because you're going to have to use the sum function and the count function in your final document. So here are the final directions. For each family member, you're going to need to have total expenses. You're going to have to do the count function. So it'd be equal count and then whatever the range is of where those amounts are. For each expense, you can calculate the total expenses, the number of family members that have that expense, so that's going to be part of your count command. So you can see right here, this is going to be a sum command, this is going to be a count command, this is going to be a sum command, this is going to be a count command, and this will be a sum command. So you'll do all of that on the spreadsheet. Make sure you check to see how you're going to get graded, and I'll show you a picture of what that'll look like in a minute. So here's the review for everything you've done. Then you have the Unit 4 exam, and I'll have the exam preview. Looks like I already have it posted there. Now I also have this week, we have my finishing plan, and just like you had your success plan or your learning plan early on, my finishing plan is going to be how are you going to finish out the semester? What are your plans for that? So I'll get that posted for you. The last thing I want to do before I head out, let's go look at, make sure we answered the last Class Connect write-up question. Yes, we did. What I want to do is go to Home and look at the sample assignments. So assignment samples, here's a spreadsheet projects. So there's what yours will end up, 1, 2, and 3. Now in number 3, these total expenses, again, those are going to be the sum commands. And then the total count, that's going to be the count command. So when you count from right here in column G, you're going to count B4 all the way to E4. For this count, you're going to count B4 all the way, or B5 all the way to E5. So you need to work on the counts and sums and get those things right. And down below here, row 14, those total expenses, that's going to sum up everything up above. And then the counts are going to count the items, the number of people that have that item, or the number of items that a particular person has. So again, that's going to be the count command. Then finally the total down here, like a B16, be careful of that. That total should probably be all of these total expense items added up. We'll go right there in that total. So again, you're going to use sum commands for expense column and expense row, and count command or the count function for total count row or column and total count row. So make sure you use those examples. That'll really help you out to see what you need to do. Hey, that's all I have for you. So again, I need to adjust on week 5 assignments. I'm going to adjust this a little bit. So I need to add in here, I don't think I have it, need to add in here your finishing plan. So I'll add that down below here. But that's all the work for this week. So I look forward to your work coming in. Bye.